Are, are we live? Are we live? Yes, we are. And what is up? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt. As always, we've got some blood sport to talk. We've got some beer to drink. We're talking UFC Atlanta today. We're going to recap UFC 316, do a little Q&A throughout the show. If you want to chat, join on in. And, we're going to break down UFC Atlanta. Normally, I have Cody here with me on Wednesdays. He had some obligations he had to attend to. So we're going solo, and that's okay. And, I don't know. Here we go. Beer we're sipping on today. Rheingeist, Cincy made. It's the truth bomb. So, straight out of the double O. Not my side of Ohio, but that's okay. It's alright. It tastes like a fucking IPA, like pine sol and fucking dirt. But I used to like IPAs, and I just really don't anymore. It's drinkable, I guess. Not great, but we're talking UFC Atlanta. First, let's do a little recap. UFC 316 just happened. Man, you know what I forgot to do again? Forgot to start recording. Let me start recording this for the podcast. And what is up if you're just joining us? If you're watching live, I'm messing up all over the place. But we are here talking UFC Atlanta on the Blood and Beer channel. Recapping UFC 316, where Merab Dvalishvili got a submission victory over Sean O'Malley. Didn't expect it. The guy's adding levels to his game. Not a real flashy submission, but he did the thing. He stuffed Sean O'Malley up. He was in his face after about 3 minutes from the first round, and Sean O'Malley had nothing for him. Merab Dvalishvili, though, he's looking unstoppable. It looks like the only thing that can stop this guy right now is age. I mean, who's going to stop someone that never stops going and is just constantly spamming takedowns and throwing punches at your face and now can submit you with chokes? Dude's a problem. I don't see anybody beating him. Corey's a fun matchup because he's a knockout threat potentially with his long-range strikes, but I just don't see anybody beating Merab right now. He's so damn tough. And then Kayla Harrison brings the belt home to Ohio. I was going to say back to America, but Juliana Pena, though she's the Venezuelan vixen, she is from America, or she hails here. Kayla Harrison, though, goes out there, just mauls Juliana Pena. 2 round and a half, gets a Kimura. I mean, what can you say? She made it look easy. The entertaining thing about this is Amanda Nunes steps into the cage afterwards, and Kayla calls her shot. They're doing the super fight. Now, whether it's going to be at 135 or 145, we have yet to see. I don't see the UFC letting them do 145 unless it's kind of the send-off for the 145-pound division to give one of those women the 145 belt and then just say, hey, we're going to do away with this. Everybody's at 135 now. Or if they'll just say, hey, you're doing it at 135. We haven't had a 145 in a long time. Caitlin Vieira owns that weight class right now anyways because she just took out Macy Chiasson. Last win at women's featherweight since November 2023, I want to say. So, yeah, you gotta do it at 135, I guess, from a business aspect and from a merit point of view. But I don't love it. I'd rather see the women fight at their best weight so we get the best of both of them. I don't want to see Kayla killing herself to get to 135. And Amanda, that's no easy cut for her either. She doesn't have an easy time getting to 135. I mean, she's not a big girl, but I mean, she's stacked. She's buff as shit is what I would say. So, I don't know. I don't know where they'll have that fight take place, but man, 2 great title fights, or 2 great finishes, great performances by the new champ, by the current champ, Merab Dvalishvili. Both go out there, maul their opponent, and get a submission. What a cool night. But what wasn't cool is how dumb Patchy Mix made me look. Patchy Mix goes out there, and he just gets beat up for all 3 rounds by Mario Batista. He came alive a little bit at the end, but he looked like he had nothing. I don't know if it was the weight cut. I don't know if he's washed. I don't know what's going on with the guy. But that was not the fighter I saw in Bellator. I've been watching this dude fight for a long time. And at Bellator, he was a beast. Now, his fight in PFL against Magomedov, kind of a bad fight. But I gave it, and I might have given that one to Magomedov. But I give him a pass on that because he was on the shelf for so long and PFL had so many meaningless fights. So, and he already finished Magomedov before, so I gave him a pass. He goes out there and looks like he doesn't know how to strike, doesn't know how to move his head. So I don't know. Is this guy cutting too much weight? What's he doing? But he's not doing the damn thing right. So he gets his ass beat, and Mario Batista looks really good. He should be getting a top 5, top 6 fighter next. I mean, he's on an 8-fight win streak. Regardless what he did to Jose Aldo, that was despicable. How he fought that man, pathetic, really. But regardless, he deserves it. 8-fight winning streak. We do need to put some merit back into the UFC. And at 135, Merab has beat the shit out of just about everybody not named Corey Sandhagen, so why not give him Mario Batista if Mario can get one more? Patchy was supposed to be the savior at 135, the guy that could come in, maybe take out Merab, because a lot of people were already writing Sean off thinking he couldn't do it. Well, that Patchy mix I saw isn't beating anybody in the top 10. I don't know if it was Octagon Jitters. It could have been that as opposed to the weight cut. But regardless, I mean, guy just did not look good out there. And then Joe Pyfer, he beats Kelvin Gastelum in a decision. Pretty good fight for him. Knocks Kelvin down twice in the first round. Kelvin's just got a brick chin. Starts laying it on him in the third a little bit. Just puts a little together. But Joe Pyfer with a pretty decisive victory there. Did the thing and did it right. And then we had my boy Kevin Holland go out there, run his mouth for the first 5 minutes of the fight, just talking the whole time as he's beating the shit out of Vicente Luque. And Vicente Luque's throwing back. He's not doing bad. He's landing some big shots on Kevin, but Kevin's just landed more, and he's talking shit the whole time he's doing it. So Kevin Holland, round 2. Vicente, it wasn't even like he shot a takedown, but he did a little bit, and Kevin got an anaconda, finishes him off. So Kevin Holland doing the damn thing. He's great at 170. He is absolutely phenomenal at 170 when he takes it serious. I mean, he went toe-to-toe with MVP. MVP won it pretty decisively, but then afterwards, MVP, goodness, goes on to beat Shara Bullet up at 185. He, I can't even remember his UFC run. I know he lost to Ian Gary, but MVP's look damn good. Heard he's got a fight with Jared Cannonier next. I'm getting off topic. But yeah, Kevin Holland at 170. He's a beast. He went to split decision with Jack Della Maddalena, the current welterweight champ. And I don't think he even took that fight that serious. He seemed like he was kind of fucking around in it. Imagine what this guy could do if he wasn't just a prize fighter. But I do respect that he will tell you he's a prize fighter pretty much. He's not really going for that gold. He's going for money. He's going for the money, going for the moments, going to get famous so he can get more money. Kevin Holland's just, he's an enigma, but he's a fun-ass fighter, and he does the thing, and he does it right. So that was a fun fight from UFC 316 as well. And we're going to be moving on to UFC Atlanta in just a moment. But real quick, just to wrap things up, Joshua Van boxed Bruno Silva's head off, and he ended up getting a TKO in round 3. Good stuff out of Josh Van. The reason I'm bringing that up is because Josh Van is fighting Brandon Royval at UFC 317 in 2 weeks' time on the prelims, the number 1 contender in the UFC flyweight division. He's going to be taking on number 10, Josh Van. Josh Van gets this win. It's almost a guarantee this man is getting a title shot. When you look at the guys ahead of him, Pantoja has either beat everybody ahead of him or they're all coming off of losses currently. You have Kai Kara France is facing Pantoja next. Manel Kopp is ahead of him. He's just lost to Pantoja a couple years ago, but he's lost to him. And he keeps getting hurt, can't get out of his own way. Josh Van's on this tear. He's, I think, 4-1 or 5-1 in the UFC, and his only loss is a TKO in round 3 to Charles Johnson in an absolute war where he was winning that fight till he wasn't. You got to give the guy a title shot. And I was going to talk about that at the end of the show, but might as well get into it now. Kamaru, one more run. Hey, it would be nice to see. It would be kind of a cool story, but I don't know how those knees are holding up. And, we'll just get into that now. We'll get into the Joaquin Buckley-Kamaru Usman fight because that was what was up next. Joaquin Buckley's coming in as a minus 280 favorite against the former champ Kamaru Usman, who's been off for about 20 months or so. He hasn't fought since shoot, he has not fought since November of 2023. So when he fought Hamzat Shemaev up at 185 pounds, goodness, and that was a great fight. He got his ass kicked in round one, but once he weathered the storm, he was beating on Shemaev. That was a 5-rounder. He would have won it, but he did not. And then he lost a decision to Leon Edwards, a fight where he just looked decrepit, like he was beat up. And he lost a knockout to Leon as well the fight before that. But prior to that, the guy was on, a 15-fight winning streak in the UFC, one away from tying Anderson Silva's record, and just gets knocked out right as he's about to break history, a minute away from tying Anderson Silva, and just can't get it done. So, but what I'm saying is he hasn't won a fight since 2021. Things are not looking great for Kamaru Usman, and his knees are shot. I'm not liking that. You got Joaquin Buckley, who's coming out here. He's explosive as hell. He's dynamic. He's got big power. He's got great defensive wrestling. And when he does get taken down, he gets up very well because he's so strong. He just gets those whizzers in, and he just pushes his way back up, just mans his way up. So I just think this fight is a bad matchup for Kamaru Usman, who's going to have trouble moving, going to have trouble pushing Joaquin Buckley around. And Joaquin Buckley, he's kind of made his path to victory by his path to almost the gold by beating on these older guys. Vicente Luque, Wonderboy Thompson, Colby Covington last time out. He's beating on all these older 170ers that were top 5 or title fighters, title challengers 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that are now a little bit over the hill. But Joaquin Buckley's the guy that is putting them over the hill. He's not fighting a washed version of them. He's fighting these people when they're still at the peak of their powers, or perceived to be. And then he is the Unk beater. Yeah. The Sunset Kid. Hey, I didn't really like Buckley when he came into the UFC, especially at 185. I didn't think he was that good. Sending the Unks out to pasture. I love that. That's a good one. Yeah, I didn't like him when he came to the UFC. I didn't like the way he talked. I'm starting to come around to him. He's still a little bit unaware of what's going on as far as when he's talking, what he's saying. Like, he's saying he's going to get the title fight over Islam next. Just not happening. But you're right about that. Volk versus Lopez. So CT Raptor says, I know it's easy to write off the old guard nowadays, but look at Volk versus Lopez. So you're absolutely right about that. But what I'll say about Volk is, Volk, while his chin was cracked, he didn't have any serious injuries he's been dealing with for his entire career, though he's been doing physical sports his whole life. He didn't have knee surgeries consistently throughout his whole career, or back injuries over and over again. Yes, he got knocked out twice in 4 months, but he took the time off but he took the time off, came back, did the thing. His chin still doesn't look like it's all the way there, but it's good enough, and he has great defense. So that one was an outlier. I think that Usman's just not going to be able to move like the way Buckley's going to be able to move, and Buckley's going to find him at the end of his shots. Now, Scrimpo's saying, I've been a Buckley fan since that one fight in St. Louis. Are you talking Nursultan Ruzaboyev fight? Because that was a fun fight. That was awesome. That is a low blow. I'm not making fun of him when I say that they're not, his knees are shot, and everybody's been saying it for a long time. You can watch training videos of the guy doing squats, and he can't go down very far at all. And do what you can. Maybe the cortisone shots that they give you for the pain and everything before the fights are just enough for him to get through it. But I don't know. I think that he's gonna break when the knees are gone. If you get rocked, and Buckley can rock you, I think it's no bueno for Kamaru Usman. I think it's a bad night for him. But yeah, that Ruzaboyev fight was awesome. Was that the fight where he called out Conor McGregor afterwards? Because when he did that, I was like, shit, fuck it. You should do that because you hit hard as hell, and Conor sucks and is on fucking drugs probably. So maybe he'll take a fight with a no-name that he thinks he can knock out. Yeah, you're right, long live Mech Warrior. I don't know why Buckley got to make fun of Kamaru so publicly. it's dumb because it will discredit if he wins. You're right, but I think it's because it's such a narrative. Not to the casuals, but to people that follow MMA. To people that follow MMA, I think that it's already slightly discredited if he goes out there and runs Kamaru over because we know Kamaru hasn't fought and hasn't won in so long. But when a casual's looking at it from just the records, they're not going to be seeing this. They don't see what Joaquin Buckley says. He's not a megastar yet, but yeah, stem cells to get Usman's knees right. You're absolutely right. I thought, yeah, when he called out Conor, I was like, fuck it, dude. He did the thing that everybody should be doing. Shoot your shot, because somebody's gonna get it. It ended up being Chandler, but he didn't even get it. Hey, Lazy Bed, what's up in the chat? Thank you for joining in, brother. So we're gonna move on though. Well, we'll move on. I was gonna talk about who I wanted to see Joaquin Buckley fight next if he beats Kamaru Usman because, yeah, let's talk about it. There's 4 guys at the top if Joaquin Buckley gets this done. There's Ian Gary as number 4. I'd say Joaquin number 3, Sean Brady 2, Shavkat 1, and then you got JDM and Islam fighting. That's a foregone conclusion. But I think with all this, Shavkat loses his number 1 contender position. He's still number 1 out of the 4, but I think you got to have those 4 fight it out. Throw them both on a card, on a pay-per-view, or throw both the fights on a pay-per-view. Whoever has the most impressive fight out of the winners gets the title shot next. That's how you got to do it. But who do you want to see him fight? I want to see Buckley versus Gary. I think that's a good matchup because I think Gary is going to test Buckley, how Buckley deals with a smart, mobile fighter that's still got it. And I want to see Shavkat versus Sean Brady just because of the grappling. And Sean Brady, he's gotten his striking a lot better since that Bilal Muhammad fight. So I'd like to see that. But, yeah, I don't know. CT Raptor says he feels like they should have matched up Colby with Michael Chiesa. Yeah, both are co-coaches on Tough. I absolutely agree. I was saying that a few months ago. That's a great fight for Colby, great fight for Chiesa. Kind of a matchup made in heaven for both guys because Chiesa's a grappler, Colby's a wrestler. So Chiesa might give up the takedowns. Good for Colby. Chiesa might also catch Colby in a choke on his way in. So that would be awesome. But yeah, rebook that if Buckley wins. Absolutely, CT Raptor. I would love to see him fight Kevin Holland at some point. I think if Joaquin Buckley loses this fight, he will be fighting Kevin Holland in his next one out. Yeah. So the build up to Buckley and Gary would be great too. You're right. There's beef there. They don't like each other. So if Usman wins, you give him Kevin Holland, right? They fought once before. Kevin Holland knocked him out. Buckley super improved since then. Kevin Holland's kind of like a dark horse where people think he sucks, but he really only sucks up at 185 when he's fighting big wrestlers. He's fine at 170. He's great at 170. He just sucks up at 185. 170 wrestlers don't even give him a ton of problems. So, yeah, I think you do Kevin Holland if Buckley loses. Oh, what happens with Kamaru then? Give me and Gary. He's got to fight one more time. He's not getting a title shot next. Like, you're not getting a title shot off of 3 losses and then a win over Joaquin Buckley. Unless you do it short notice. And I don't think Kamaru Usman can step in short notice to a title fight because I think that he's just got too much damage on his body. He's got to really train himself, really take the training camp the right way. Oh, man. Long live Mech Warrior says, Kevin Holland versus Buckley 2. Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez. UFC title shall be called Ill Will 2. I love it. I've been thinking for a long time UFC should be bringing back titles for these cards. Don't give us these dead names with nothing. Like, I remember it, but if I bring it up to my friends that don't follow UFC every single week and I'm like, hey, you remember UFC 301, how shit that card was or something like that, they won't remember it. But if I was like, hey, do you remember UFC Carnage? How that card was supposed to be absolutely phenomenal, but they ended up fucking dropping the ball and everything. That's just a lot more memorable. You have Carnage, they can add a theme to it, a bunch of graphics, but UFC doesn't do graphics or anything creative because they don't have to. There's nobody pushing the envelope against them. There's nobody that's even a challenge to them. Why improve when you don't have to? You're already at the top of the business and not even a close challenger. Yeah, Scrimpo says he thinks that Usman should retire. No shame in it if he loses to Buckley. Yeah, absolutely. And Sean, yeah. Sorry, I was reading these chats, but if they wait it out, I hate that. The UFC needs to force these guys' hands, say none of you guys are getting it unless you fight. So, yeah, but we need to move on to our next fight. We're talking Rose Namajunas, Miranda Maverick. Man, Rose Namajunas is a very mid fighter up at 125, it appears. She's 2-2 since coming up. Granted those losses are to Erin Blanchfield and Manon Fiorot, but still just doesn't look like the same fighter. I could see her going out here and boxing Miranda Maverick's head off. I could also see Miranda Maverick going out there and laying on Rose Namajunas for 2 rounds and getting a decision that way. I think that Maverick is more dialed in while her striking sucks, and I used to be really high on her. I'm not as high as I used to be. I do think that she's going to be able to get it done because Rose seems to kind of have one foot out the door. She's realizing that her title aspirations at 125 are not what she thought they were. She was great at strawweight, but at 125, she's just not the same fighter. So I like Miranda Maverick here. If there's nothing in the chat, we'll skip right past that one. But yeah, I'm picking Maverick on that. Hey, no worries, Scrimpo, because a lot of us hardcore fans don't follow it because it's gotten pretty rough lately. It's gotten pretty rough. It's in a rough place at this time. But we do have Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes coming up some point in the next year. That'll be great. But we'll move on. Edmund Shabazian versus Armen Petrosky. Might sound like crazy names. Edmund Shabazian came in as this super hyped guy. He was Ronda Rousey's prodigy. This dude with big power, great kickboxing. He was nuking people. And then he goes out and he fights Derek Brunson and gets wrestle fucked. A little bit fraud checked. Turns out this guy cannot grapple at all, and he has a terrible gas tank. So the only guys that can beat him are durable guys that can wrestle. Well, Andre Petrosky is a durable guy that only wrestles. He'll take you down, go for the choke. He'll lay on you for 3 rounds also, but he's going to get, unless Shabazian takes this dude out in the first couple of exchanges, in the first 2.5 minutes probably, Armen Petrosky is going to just mop the floor with this dude. I see a decision, but it doesn't have to be. I could see submission. I might bet decision or submission when the odds drop on that, but yeah, I don't like Shabazian against anybody that has any technical ability whatsoever. But we'll move right along here. Because former champ Cody Garbrandt, another guy straight out of the Double O, Ohio, plus 165 dog against Ronnie Barcelos, coming back at minus 190. I'll have to check that again. But this fight, everybody knows what it is. Two dudes that are a little bit past their prime. Cody's chin is cracked. Ronnie Barcelos is old. He's 38. He's a minus 200 favorite, actually. And I think that's because of his fight with Peyton Talbot, where he just out-wrestled him for 3 rounds. Goodness. Did the great thing, but But he did the thing, but I think they're overlooking Garbrandt. Garbrandt's a great defensive and offensive wrestler, but he's still super fast, has power. I think that we're going to see a Garbrandt knockout over Ronnie Barcelos, because Barcelos hasn't knocked anyone out since 2019. So with that, Cody Garbrandt, the knockout threat isn't going to be there like people are thinking it's going to be. Yes, the chin's cracked, but I think Cody's going to have all the tools in the world to deal with this guy. Now, Scrimpo asked in the chat, what's your take on everyone saying we're about to see the new Garbrandt just because of the haircut? Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Now, he did also say that he's been sober for the last 3 years, so that could play a part in your chin. I mean, just not taking care of your body. Maybe his chin is back. Maybe he's making the right decisions in training camp. I don't know if he's sober from just alcohol or if he was on some drugs, if he was just smoking weed, what it was. But I don't think we're going to see a new Garbrandt. We could see a guy that, he's still only 32 or 33 years old, but he's been fighting forever, but at only 33 years old, that's pretty damn young. It's not young at bantamweight. It's towards the tail end, but Johnny Barcelos is 38. So I mean, it's not like Cody Garbrandt's over the hill. I don't think we're going to see a new one. I think we still have the chance to see flashes of the old Cody Garbrandt. We have a bad Cody Garbrandt right now, but I think he still shows flashes. And I think that he's going to get a victory this weekend as the dog. And that brings us to our next fight. Mansour Abdul Malik taking on Cody Brundage. Abdul Malik's a minus 800 favorite. He's 8-0 with 7 knockouts. Dude's a beast. 2-0 in the UFC with 2 knockouts. He's being strapped to a rocket ship, being fed Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage, who gets it or gets got. More than often, he gets got in the first or second round. And Abdul Malik has really good boxing. He has decent kicks, but he's just gonna knock this dude out. He's got insane power. He's 6'4". Cody Brundage is 6'2", I believe. And yeah, he's just Mansour Abdul Malik, first round knockout. Write it in the books. I mean, that's going down. That's how it is happening. There's no other way that is going down. So now moving on to another undefeated fighter. He's taking on it's Omar Sy taking on number 15 light heavyweight Alonzo Menifield. Yes, you heard that right. Number 15 ranked light heavyweight Alonzo Menifield. How the hell is this dude number 15 in the men's light heavyweight division? Well, it's because light heavyweight sucks. He hasn't beaten anybody ranked in a very long time. He's got crazy power. He's super strong. He's short. He's stocky for light heavyweight. He's just not that good. But as a plus 500 dog, I'm going to sprinkle something on the guy because Omar Sy, what I've seen from him, he just hasn't looked that great. He had a decision in Paris, but other than that, I think hasn't had any other fights in the UFC. Fighting out of France. In short, he's got fat guy power. He can grab you and hold you against the cage. So yeah, in short, I think Alonzo Menifield is just going to vet this dude up, be a little vet savvy, hold him against the cage, maybe take him down a few times. But Omar Sy, I mean, four TKOs, 4 submissions. It kind of tells me he's not great at anything, even though he's got 11 fights and is undefeated. I don't hold French MMA super highly, and that's where he's fighting out of. I think Alonzo Menifield's a live dog here, and I think that he's gonna pull off the thing. I think he's gonna do it. But what's more crazy than a plus 500 dog cashing is the fact that Alonzo Menifield is number 15 in the men's light heavyweight division. The division where Alex Pereira reigned supreme for so long. The division where John Jones reigned supreme for so long. How far this division has fallen. I mean, you look at his last fight, a split decision win over Julius Walker, knockout loss to Mirzakhanov, knockout loss to Carlos Ulberg, decision over Dustin Jacoby, submission over Jimmy Crute. Who Jimmy Crute, he's very middle of the pack. He's right on the outside of the top 15. Dustin Jacoby's a fun fighter, but I'm pretty sure he just wrestled him for 5 rounds. I'll have to go back and watch that because I could be dead wrong. But then a 12-second knockout in round 1 to Carlos Ulberg. Knocked out halfway through the fight with Mirzakhanov. Mirzakhanov throws absolute bombs, but yeah, I think that Menifield can get it done just because I don't hold Omar Sy. I remember watching Omar Sy's first UFC fight and being like, that's a guy I'm going to fade. That's somebody that I will bet against when they're a big favorite because they're 11-0. And also, we got a ton of undefeated fighters on this card, or at least 2. I don't know how many exactly. I'll have to go back and check. But undefeated fighters have not been doing great this year. They've turned it around a little bit in the second half of the first year, but still not doing great. So Yeah, I don't think that Omer Sy is that guy. But yeah, those fights, they're not super entertaining. They're not anything super awesome. If there's any prelims you want to talk about, that is depressing. Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. Balance issues, and it makes you wonder. So, Long Live Mech Warrior says Garbrandt saying he had vertigo is depressing. It makes you wonder, is a sport where you're taking head trauma the best thing? And that's why I wonder also, is there a new Garbrandt? Like, is the sobriety a real thing? You want to talk the Cody Durden fight? Cody Durden's going to win that fight, taking on Jose Ochoa. And Ochoa is 7-1. Yeah, he was really good when he fought Cruz Mech Warrior. But Jose Ochoa is 7-1. His only loss came in his first fight in the UFC, and that was against Lonnie Kavanaugh, who Lonnie Kavanaugh is a beast, but he put it to Jose Ochoa. And Cody Durden, dude's tough as nails. He's durable. He's got a crazy gas tank. Good wrestler. Doesn't use his wrestling as much anymore, but he'll still take you down a bunch. He just won't hold you there. And yeah, he's had a tough go of it. He lost to Josh Van, beat Matt Schnell, lost to Bruno Silva. Ulanbekov, tough fight. He cashed as a dog against Jake Hadley. I think Cody Durden is going to get it done. I think he's going to be able to out-wrestle Jose Ochoa. I think he's going to also be able to outstrike him. Cody Durden has very underrated striking in the UFC. Everybody I think overlooks it. And as far as size, they're the exact same size. So I just think, yeah, Diaz fan, you are absolutely right. The GOAT, that's crazy. I haven't heard that a ton. Um, well, real quick, Diaz. I want to get to Scrimpo. You're right. He is, because he's from Licking County and got a lot of hillbillies out here. I work in Licking County, so he's from the Double O. You got to love Cody Garbrandt. But yeah, Diaz fans tired of hearing fans say that Marab is the GOAT just because he's on a win streak. They say that about every guy that is on the win streak and that has a few losses are named GOAT. They throw that word around so easy. It's so disgusting. You're right, dude. Everybody has recency bias in MMA because it's all about what have you done for me lately. Nobody looks back at pure greatness. And a win streak doesn't necessarily define you as the GOAT. You may have been the most dominant fighter over a period of time. Lewis R. This was the UFC Atlanta main card breakdown. Now we're just talking some MMA topics. Right now, we're doing a little Q&A, just talking in the chat. Diaz fan said he's tired. Well, you can read, but I'm just answering him right now because, yeah, you could say a guy on a win streak is the most dominant fighter over a period of time over a division that might have been weaker or that he just had a nice run. But there's also guys that you look at and they are a flash in the pan where you're just like, wow, that was phenomenal. Dominic Cruz, bantamweight GOAT in your opinion? My opinion too. Marab could get there. Marab could get there with the win over Cody or Corey Sandhagen and maybe one more. He could get there if he starts getting some more finishes. But right now, I have Dominic Cruz as my GOAT too. What he did in the WEC and then continued into the UFC, even with the injuries he was dealing with, he was able to get through them. Had to take a lot of time off, but yeah, he had to take a lot of time off. But every time he came out, he was magic to watch when he was fighting. And you know, it's tough to put anyone over that, but there's so many fans. You got to think about the generations of fans that have come in. Hello, Rick Shaw. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Lewis. So Cruz is the bantamweight GOAT. Marab is close to passing him. Definitely could be argued. Yeah, and TJ when he was roided. Yeah, I have Dom, TJ, Marab. They're all right there. I mean, they're all right there. And Aljo, if you look at the resume, you could say he's up there, but I don't think that he was actually like the best at the time because he fought a banged up Dillashaw. He got a very controversial decision to Petr Yan, their second fight. Won the fight off a DQ. We don't need to get into that one again. But Yeah, that's what I mean though, Scrimpo. He says he thought it after the fight, but thought about it a few days after, not so much about Merab being the GOAT. It's just, yeah, I don't think he's the GOAT. Now, Rick Shaw, Aljo does have the most title defenses in the UFC, but there wasn't a bantamweight division for Dominic Cruz to compete in when he was the champ. So he was in the WEC, which when the UFC bought them, they absorbed the entire roster practically to form their new bantamweight division. So WEC was basically the UFC's bantamweight. They didn't have that at the time. So Dominic Cruz, just like Jose Aldo, if you look at it, you can say, yeah, Volk's the most decorated champ in UFC history. But really, it's Jose Aldo because of what he did before. I'm from southeastern Ohio, so that's why you can't place it. It's a bit of a hillbilly, bit of a not. But yeah, I I don't hate that Mario. I was talking about it earlier. Mario Batista should be next, not Corey. Not a bad take, Lewis, because Mario Batista's on an 8-fight winning streak. 8-fight winning streak. You got to put some credit to that. He's beat Patchy Mix, who was highly heralded coming into the UFC. I talked so highly of the guy. Didn't perform to the standards, but Mario Batista did his job. He beat Jose Aldo. He beat Damon Blackshear. He's beat a lot of guys. His only losses to Corey. So, goodness, sorry. Corey, though, he could use that as a claim. Corey's a little bit more over with the fans, and Mario didn't even get a post-fight speech after he beat Patchy Mix because the UFC is still pissed about him holding Jose up against the cage for 15 minutes. But I like that Long Live Mech Warrior. He tries not to think about who's the best, but who gave the most memorable fights. Jan gave him the most memorable fights. Yeah, for me, most memorable, I would have to say it was Uriah Hall. And he's one of my favorite fighters, him and Roy Nelson. And I'm not a guy that joined, I've been watching MMA since I was 5 years old. I don't know, I've been just watching it my whole life. But yeah, the best, you got Uriah Hall, his spinning back kicks, his whole tough run. And then he had some fun moments in the UFC. You always watched him because what could happen. And then with Roy Nelson, dude just had a brick chin and absolute insane power. Fun as hell to watch. If he was in shape, he could have been the fucking 185 GOAT. Imagine what that guy could have done at 185 if he got in shape. But he never did. Now, yeah, Jan is absolutely underrated. Scrimpo asked, what's my take on Patchy Mix being robotic and stiff? Was it the nerves or was he just off or not that good? And that brings me to our next point. I don't know what it was. I don't know. It could have been the weight cut. He's a huge 135er. Could have been the nerves. Short notice, but he says he's been training like he's been in camp forever. I don't know what it was. He might be washed. He didn't look great in his last fight in the PFL against Magomedov. So he might be washed, and we just got to see the best of him over in Bellator during that tournament run. Or my next thing I was going to bring up was Bellator fighters coming to the UFC have been getting washed lately. Has Bellator been overrated this whole time? Because I've always held them very high standards as far as their the top guys over in Bellator. But we see them coming over here, and we can make excuses. Patricio Pitbull's old. He is in the twilight of his career. Michael Chandler, he's fought an absolutely brutal lineup. You can say that, absolutely. But then we have Patchy Mix getting washed by Mario Batista. The records for these guys are 2-8 just between those three. You have Eddie Alvarez, who became champion from Bellator, and he was a Bellator champ. He had a great UFC run. But can you call him a Bellator guy? Because he was fighting everywhere. Just like the Pride fighters. Yeah, Pride fighters came over a little too late too, I think. But, it also... Bellator had a bit of a way of matching guys up to make them look good. I think that they couldn't plan that in the Grand Prix that Patchy Mix looked great in. ITP MMA's video on Patchy Mix was hilarious. I'll have to check that out. ITP MMA. Thank you. All right. But Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys? So Volkov and MVP did transfer over very well from Bellator. Thoughts on MMA Guru? Not my cup of tea. I like the chatting with the fans and all that. I don't necessarily like the way he does it. I don't like the rage bait. I don't like the hate on fighters. Yeah, I just Diaz fan. I thought Strike Force had Prime Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz, but yeah, MMA Guru, not my cup of tea. You know, if you like him, that's your thing. But I'm just, yeah, he's a clown. Yeah, yeah, that's a nice way to talk about him. The guys I like to watch are the guys that really cover the sport and talk about the topics and get into them, break it down, give you actual thoughts and perspective. I try to give thoughts and perspective. I like the guys at MMA Fighting, MMA Junkie. I like Anakin Florian do a good job weighing in. Morning Combat's great, main card minute. I like all those guys. I'm not a fan of these guys that seem like they don't like the sport. Like they just, and sometimes it comes off that these writers are like that, but they like the sport so much that they just want it to do well. They're like, make the right fucking decision. Whereas like MMA Guru, just people raging about these guys being champs, or you don't, that's not what you do. That's not how you fix it. Like, you only like strikers. Yeah, like how can you can't cover a sport if you don't like the sport. And I get that you love the fact that these strikers knock out. He does make so much money, but the striker, you love the fact that these strikers are knocking out some of these wrestlers. But if you don't want to see the striking versus the wrestler, go watch One Championship. They have great Muay Thai fighting. Go watch some Lathway. That's amazing striking. All 9 limbs. You can throw headbutts. It's like Muay Thai, but with headbutts. It's a super fun fight style. Bare knuckle also. Go watch some BKFC. But don't bitch about MMA because there's a wrestler. Because they're doing their job. What you should complain about is these guys that don't train certain aspects of their game and get pushed to the top and can't compete against a guy that has one specific tool and can keep spamming it over and over and over again. Rick Shaw says Dana should have started UFC Muay Thai instead of Power Slap. Yep. Diaz fan though, thoughts on Macy Barber? I've never been high on Macy Barber. I've always thought she was a bit overrated. She seemed like somebody the UFC was trying to push really hard as the potential youngest champ, especially when they were beefing with John Jones. They were like, hey, we'll push this woman to be the youngest champ because, I mean, if she does it, then easy out and John comes back. He's still the youngest male champ. But it would have given them like something to say, hey, you're not in the history books. But Macy, though, I just don't think her skills are that great. She's a hoss. She can outpower people that aren't super powerful. She's a decent striker. She can overwhelm you with strikes. But she's not a great wrestler. She's not a super technical striker. I don't think her skills warrant a championship. Like I don't see her getting to a championship unless the UFC is just like, hey, we'll move her up to 135 where it's completely dead. And maybe she'll do a lot better there. Now, Lewis R. says, hot take, Merab is actually a very entertaining fighter. I find the fighters that mix it up the best, the most entertaining. He has some entertaining fights that people say are not entertaining. Like, his wall install method, he doesn't just do it by laying on you. He doesn't do what Bilal Muhammad does. And Bilal mixes it up very well as well. But Merab is much more active. He's throwing punches in there. He's shooting a takedown, and he'll be halfway through a takedown, realize he's not getting it, just back up a little bit and reshoot that takedown. I mean, he has such high technical ability. He does such great fast twitch motion when he's in there shooting takedowns, when he's just riding the legs. He does so much that the casual fan is not going to recognize and not appreciate. And a wrestler that's watching MMA is not going to appreciate it or an American wrestler, because he's not wrestling American wrestling style. He's wrestling Georgian, Russian over there. He's doing his own thing, but it's working for him. And I think his striking has looked phenomenal in his past couple fights. Against against Umar, he looked great. Against Sean in the first one, he was cracking Sean in the first one. I mean, Merab is not a dull fighter. He's all action. Now, if you have terrible takedown defense and you're going to let him take you down, Marab is certainly going to take you down. And if you have no ability to get back up, then yeah, why would he let you back up? I mean, like Mario Batista said against Jose Aldo, I don't agree with his take, but it's not my job to let him off the cage. Absolutely right. Casual fan thinks he only has cardio. Yes, they do. That's his best weapon is his cardio, and he's adding tools constantly. His wrestling was strong in his cardio. What a base. Now he's adding striking. He's adding jiu-jitsu with his submissions. I mean, yeah. Marab's the real deal. Diaz fan says strip John Jones. Yeah, I mean he sounds like he's just vacating it at this point. Just take it away. I'm tired of hearing about him. I mean, he says he's not fighting. Yeah, yeah, get rid of it. Mr. Supreme Racist, you like black fighters. It doesn't matter the race. I like white fighters, black fighters, Brazilian. We're gonna hide this user on the channel. Yeah, we're not gonna be dealing with that. So, sorry, I had to get over that. That was crazy. Mr. Supreme Racist. Fighters would be silly not to capitalize on their best attributes. You're absolutely right, Rickshaw. Long Live Mech Warrior says, Yo, Diaz fan, what's the story about Nick in Mexico? I would like to know about that as well. I can't figure out what's going on. Is the girlfriend real? Caesar Gracie says it's not legit. He's been training with him. He's doing good. I don't know. He looked rough last year. But Lewis R. asks, who would win, Tom Aspinall or Francis Ngannou? I think Francis would beat Tom pretty easily. I'm not even a huge Francis fan because he knocked out Stipe. Like, what the fuck? But Andy went to PFL. What a dying promotion to go to. But, I mean, he took him for all their money, so good on him. Great business move. Andy gets to do boxing matches. But Francis, he's got really great wrestling now. I mean, he can take anybody down. I think he could avoid Tom's jiu-jitsu. I don't think he's getting choked out by Tom. He's a heavier puncher. Tom might catch him on the feet, but Francis has gotten to the point where he isn't afraid to mix it up if he's getting caught. You look at him in the Cyril Gane fight. Cyril was catching him a little bit, and he was taking him down. Now, Tom's a completely different beast than Cyril, but I think Francis would be able to last more than a round, more than two, and I think his gas tank's better than Tom's. We haven't seen Tom have to go 5 rounds, and I just don't think you can go at the pace that Tom goes at to last 5 rounds. He's going for finishes, and he's, granted, he's getting those finishes, but against Francis, the dude has a fucking chin. He's not getting knocked out. He got beat by Stipe by decision, got beat by Derek Lewis by decision. Not losing any other fights. Dude's a beast, and as much as the UFC likes to hate on him, that last fight against Cyril Gane with 2 blown out knees, being able to wrestle the way he did. And then PFL, he hadn't fought in like 2 years or 3 years in MMA. Comes back, fights their world champion. Granted, Renan Fiera, not that great, but he goes out there, does the damn thing, wrestles him down, gets a quick takedown, and just mauls him on the ground for a TKO. I mean, Francis is like the total package now. He was just a big striker. Now, he's still a big striker. You don't lose that power, but now he's a great wrestler. And I don't think Tom can handle that. I think Francis would be tough for John, but I think John is a better matchup for Francis because he's got a way better wrestling game than both of those guys. But Tom might be a better matchup against John than Francis would, but Francis, I think, would steamroll Tom. It's kind of like MMA math just doesn't make sense. Now, I brought it up a little bit at the start of the show, but Josh Van, I don't know if you saw him on the prelims, UFC 316 TKO Bruno Silva in round 3 after boxing his head off. Looked great doing it. Dude's on an absolute tear, but he's going to be fighting number 1 contender, Brandon Royval, UFC 317 in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time. I don't know how you guys see that fight going down, but if he wins that fight, and he absolutely could, I could also see Royval choking him out pretty quick because Royval has great back takes. But if he wins that fight, I think you catapult this guy to a title shot. I mean, what is left for him? Where is that fight? They don't have it on ESPN right now, but yeah, you're going to 317. That's great, Diaz fan. My buddy went last year and had a great time. He ended up getting deployed this year, but he went last year, had a great time, and man, International Fight Week. UFC doesn't do a lot for the hardcores, but International Fight Week they still have reserved for us. I mean, this year it's gonna be great. You got Topuria versus Oliveira. You got Kai Kara France Pantoja, Hanato Moicano versus Beneil Dariush. But yes, that's right. Brings me back to Josh Van taking on Brandon Royval. Do you guys think this guy gets the title shot next if he wins? Because when you look at the flyweight division, it's not dead, but Pantoja's beat everybody, and everybody in the top 10 he has not beaten is coming off a loss. The guys ahead of Joshua Van, because Van's number 10, that Pantoja has not fought and beaten, other than Kai Kara France, who he's fighting at 317. You have Tatsuro Taira coming off a loss. He's fighting Amir Albazi, who's also ahead of Josh Van, who's coming off a loss. They're fighting in August. And then you have, what's his name? Almabayev, who's coming off a loss to Manel Kopp. And you're right, Dana tends to reward the guy who takes fights on short notice. And Josh Van, only 24 years old, he could take this fight or 23 years old, turns 24 in October. He could take this fight and lose it against Royval or beat Royval and lose to Pantoja and still come back in 2 more years and fight for the title and keep doing that over and over. The dude is just, he's young and he's got the world in his grasp. Long Live Mech Warrior said, what's Moreno doing now? Moreno, I don't think he has a fight booked, but let me check that for you. But he is, he's coming off that win against Amir Albazi. I think he was hoping to get Pantoja at UFC Noche, but I mean he took a lot of time off, but he fought earlier this year, but he was hoping to get Pantoja at Noche, I think, before it got turned into a fight night. Or no, he also fought Steve Erceg in March. So yeah, he's just waiting for his next fight. He's in a position where he's lost to Alejandro Pantoja 3 times, and it's like, do we give him a 4th even though he's beating everybody else? He lost a really close split decision to Brandon Royval, but then he comes back, beats Amir Albazi, beats Steve Erceg. He's kind of in the Max Holloway position that Max was at when Volk was champ, and that he had lost to Volk 3 times. It's just, what do? Like, you keep beating these guys. Can we give you a 4th shot against this guy? I don't know. Tell you what, if they didn't want to do Van versus Pantoja next, Van versus Moreno, if he can beat Royval, what a fight that would be. Could you imagine the boxing that would take place in that fight between Josh Van and Brandon Moreno? That would be such a fun fight. I think Brandon Moreno would win, but I think Josh Van would make that a great fight. All right. And we got we're not going to do our bets this week because Cody's not on here, and that's okay. But we got our PFL Semifinals taking place tonight or tomorrow night. I don't know if you guys follow the PFL. Kind of pathetic where they're at right now. They did just launch the app, which is great. They have a great fight card coming up, headlined by Thad Jean and Jason Jackson. What a card. But the fight takes place at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not going to get into it, but Jesus Christ, PFL, just fuck up more. Moreno and Cejudo, you hope that happens. I hope Moreno and Cejudo happens as well. Now, in my opinion, which current active fighter has the most potential of becoming the greatest fighter in their division of all time? I think you'd have to say Merab, Ilya, but Ilya's got a tough division to do it in. Merab, Ilya, Tom, if John gets out of his way. Hey, thanks, Diaz fan. He says I'm better than MMA goofball. Need to get me out there. I know my stuff. Hey, I did combat sports my whole life growing up until I had a shoulder injury, and it just kind of got me out of it. I can't do what I love, so I can train, I can't fight. So is what it is. But I've been following combat sports my whole life, and I like to, you know, I'm not gonna just sit here and bullshit and say just random shit about stuff. I'm gonna know what I'm talking about and give you the best insight I can, because the way we build the sport also is by being able to have these conversations, not having guys like the MMA goofball out there just as the face of the MMA live chat, whatever he's doing now, just talking shit about fighters, talking terrible about them, making them jokes. Like, we need to have guys talking about their skill, talking about what they can do best, what leads people, just being able to talk about stuff with an open mind. I don't hate it. I don't hate when he works with DJ, but like, it's just, you got to be able to show respect to the sport, and by showing respect to the sport, you have to know what you're talking about. And it's not the hardest sport to understand. You just have to put the effort in, and I put a ton of effort in each and every week to make sure I'm not just talking shit about this stuff. A lot of the stuff I can say off the top of my head, but a lot of the stuff I want to make sure I'm looking into, because why would I want to get on here and make a fool out of myself? I guess it works for him, but this is a sport I really love, and I really respect it. So, but yeah, I think that's all we got for you. I super appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'm Matt with Blood and Beer. Make sure you drop us a sub. We're on our march to 250 subscribers. I should have made the goal 150 long time ago, but I appreciate everybody that's joined the chat, everybody that tuned in. Matt with Blood and Beer. I'm out of here, and